Warning: human warship invading restricted space. The unseen borders of the cosmos. For centuries, humanity has believed that space is a limitless frontier, open for exploration, expansion, and conquest. But what if we're wrong? What if, beyond the reach of our telescopes and probes, an unseen galactic order exists, one that enforces strict boundaries, territorial zones, and no-go areas? Now, imagine a scenario where a human warship, armed to the teeth, unknowingly breaches one of these restricted zones. What happens next? Will diplomacy prevail, or are we on the brink of an interstellar war that we never even knew was possible? While humanity has only scratched the surface of interstellar travel, theoretical physicists, science fiction writers, and even government agencies have speculated about the existence of galactic boundaries. If advanced civilizations have been in space for millions of years before us, wouldn't they have their own rules, treaties, and military deterrents? The concept of restricted space isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. In fact, historical patterns on Earth suggest that it's almost inevitable. Throughout human history, civilizations have enforced borders to protect their interests. From ancient walled cities to modern-day military exclusion zones, trespassing into restricted territory has always been met with consequences, ranging from diplomatic warnings to full-scale warfare. If such territorial instincts exist among intelligent species on Earth, why wouldn't they apply on a cosmic scale? Let's take a step back and examine the evidence. Some scientists believe that the lack of direct alien contact, the so-called Fermi paradox, isn't due to a lack of intelligent life, but rather because of rules we have yet to understand. The zoo hypothesis, for instance, suggests that extraterrestrial civilizations intentionally avoid contact with us, treating humanity as a primitive species under observation. But what if this extends to a more structured, regulated cosmic order? One where specific regions of space are off-limits to developing species? Now, let's imagine a human warship, perhaps a prototype built in secret under military directives, pushing the boundaries of human expansion. Maybe it's the result of a breakthrough in propulsion, like a working Alcubierre warp drive, allowing it to move faster than light for the first time. Without realizing it, this vessel enters a restricted space, unknowingly triggering silent alarms across the galaxy. The warship's crew, thinking they are on the frontier of human discovery, may suddenly find themselves face to face with a force beyond their comprehension. One of the most plausible reasons for restricted space could be quarantine zones, areas where younger civilizations are prohibited from entering due to potential dangers. This could be to protect fragile ecosystems, avoid interference with less developed species, or even to contain something far more dangerous, like ancient remnants of biological weapons, rogue AI constructs, or remnants of long-dead civilizations, wiped out by unknown forces. Another possibility? Strategic military zones. Just as nations on Earth maintain highly classified, restricted airspaces, advanced alien civilizations might have interstellar defense grids, patrolling fleets, and sensor arrays designed to detect and neutralize unauthorized intrusions. If a human warship were to enter one of these regions, it might be seen as an act of aggression, regardless of intent. And in an instant, humanity could be seen as a new, unpredictable threat, one that must be neutralized before it becomes more advanced. The warship's captain, realizing they have unknowingly crossed an invisible yet inviolable line, would face an impossible choice: turn back and risk showing weakness, or hold position and attempt to communicate with an unknown force that may not care about their survival. But what happens when an advanced civilization doesn't give warnings? What if their protocol is immediate elimination of any unauthorized vessel? As Earth's governments scramble to understand what's happening, they may receive an ominous message, a single transmission sent across every major communication frequency. You have violated secured space. You will not receive another warning. The implications of such an event could be staggering. Not only would it confirm the existence of an advanced galactic order, but it would also force humanity to confront its own arrogance. Are we truly prepared for the consequences of interstellar trespassing? 2. The unseen response. A galactic confrontation. The moment the warship crosses the invisible boundary, it unknowingly disrupts a balance that has existed for millennia. Every piece of advanced technology on board, its experimental warp drive, high-energy weaponry, and deep space scanners, is now detected by an intelligence beyond human comprehension. At first, the warship's crew may not realize the gravity of their situation. The vast emptiness of space remains unchanged. No ships, no energy signatures, no visible threats. But then, the sensors pick up something unusual: faint distortions. In space itself. It's as if reality is bending, twisting under unseen forces. Unknown to the crew, they have activated an automatic defense mechanism, something ancient yet precise. Across light years, silent sentinels, machines left behind by an unseen civilization, have awakened. They were placed there long ago, not to conquer, but to contain. Then, without warning, the warship's advanced communication systems shut down. The crew scrambles to restore control, but no commands seem to register. The ship's AI, designed to interpret anomalies, struggles to make sense of the interference. Then, a single transmission breaks through the silence. You have trespassed into restricted space. Leave immediately, or face total elimination. The message is not spoken in any known language, yet every crew member understands it instantly. It bypasses spoken words, instead conveying pure intent, an unmistakable command that needs no translation. This is not an invitation to negotiate. It is a final warning. At this moment, the warship's captain faces a decision that will determine the fate of the entire mission, perhaps even the fate of humanity itself. Do they attempt to communicate, try to explain that they meant no harm? Do they turn back, accepting the warning at face value? Or do they hold their ground, unwilling to show weakness? Before they can decide, something impossible happens. A tear in space itself opens before them, as if the universe is being unzipped by an unseen force. From within, a ship unlike anything humanity has ever encountered emerges. It is not metallic, not made of any material that scans can identify. It shifts, warps, and reconfigures in ways that defy human engineering. This is not a warship in the traditional sense. It doesn't need weapons in the way humanity understands them. Its very presence bends the laws of physics. It is a guardian of the boundary, designed for one purpose: to ensure that no one enters restricted space. The human warship, despite being one of the most advanced vessels Earth has ever produced, suddenly feels primitive. Every tactical analysis, every defensive strategy programmed into the ship's AI suggests the same thing. A direct engagement would be suicide, and then the real horror begins. Before the captain can issue any commands, reality itself seems to shift. The ship's hull begins to ripple, as if an unseen force is rewriting the laws of matter. Crew members feel a growing pressure in their skulls, an overwhelming sensation of something ancient and vast peering into their very thoughts. A message flashes across every screen. Your kind was not meant to be here. Panic sets in. The warship's AI, designed to counter cyber warfare, is overwhelmed by an intelligence that doesn't operate on familiar principles. It's not hacking the system. It's rewriting the rules of computation itself. The captain makes a split-second decision: retreat. The order is given, but nothing happens. The engines, once a marvel of human engineering, remain frozen in space. The ship is not being physically restrained. It is being held in place by an invisible force, a command embedded into the fabric of space-time itself. Then, without warning, the entire crew experiences something no human has ever gone through before. Their minds are pulled into something greater, not communication in words, but direct knowledge, imprinted into their consciousness like a burning brand. They see glimpses of something beyond time, ancient conflicts, shattered worlds, civilizations, that once challenged the boundary and ceased to exist. And then, the knowledge fades, replaced by a single overwhelming feeling: leave. Now. Suddenly, the ship is released. Systems reboot, engines reignite, and without hesitation, the captain orders an emergency jump back to safe space. The warship vanishes in an instant, propelled away at faster-than-light speeds. But the crew knows the truth. They were spared. Not because of diplomacy, not because of their technology, but because of a decision made by something far greater. As they race back toward Earth, questions remain unanswered. Who, or what, enforces these boundaries? And more importantly, what lies beyond them? The Galactic Order, Who controls restricted space? The warship hurtles back toward human-controlled space, but the crew knows the truth. This was no mere accident. They didn't just stumble upon empty, unclaimed territory. They trespassed into a forbidden zone, guarded by an intelligence that operates on an entirely different level. But why? Who controls this restricted space, and why is humanity being denied access? As the ship's AI processes the data from their encounter, it detects something chilling. The warning wasn't just sent to them. A transmission, incomprehensibly vast in scale, was relayed across a network spanning light years. But it wasn't directed at Earth. It was a status update, sent to unseen forces far beyond human comprehension. This suggests one terrifying possibility. Humanity has been noticed. The Cosmic Custodians, a silent galactic empire. Throughout human history, power structures have always existed. Whether it was ancient empires, medieval kingdoms, or modern geopolitical alliances, dominant forces maintained order, enforced borders, and dictated the flow of progress. If Earth's civilizations have developed such structures over mere thousands of years, what about civilizations that have existed for millions or even billions of years? Some scientists and theorists speculate that an interstellar governing body could already be in place, one that determines which species are allowed to explore and which must be contained. Consider the Fermi paradox, the question of why, despite the vast number of habitable planets, we see no evidence of alien life. Could it be because the universe is already structured, already policed? If so, what we just encountered wasn't merely an advanced species, it was law enforcement on a cosmic scale. The warship's incursion might not have been an isolated incident. Other species before humanity may have made similar mistakes crossing boundaries they were not meant to cross. But how many of them survived? The crew now faces an even more unsettling question. Are we the first species to be warned, or are we simply the latest to trespass? 2. The theory of ancient quarantine zones. Some scientists believe the universe could contain natural quarantine zones, regions that appear empty or uninhabited, but in reality, serve as containment areas for unknown cosmic threats. What if restricted? Space isn't just a matter of territorial control, but rather a necessary defense? A prison rather than an empire. Perhaps long ago, an ancient species discovered something so dangerous, so uncontrollable, that they had no choice but to isolate it. Whether it was a rogue artificial intelligence, an interdimensional anomaly, or a life form capable of spreading unchecked across galaxies, this danger had to be contained. Could it be that humanity's warship was not the first to stumble upon this region, but was merely the first to leave alive? If so, then the entity that warned them away wasn't just protecting its own territory, it was protecting reality itself. The Dark Forest Hypothesis, a universe of predators. There is another, far more terrifying theory. In 2008, the science fiction author Liu Cixin popularized the Dark Forest Hypothesis, an answer to the Fermi paradox that suggests the universe is silent, not because intelligent life is rare, but because it is hiding. The hypothesis suggests that the cosmos operates on a brutal principle: survival at all costs. Every civilization that becomes advanced enough to explore space also realizes the greatest danger: other civilizations with similar ambitions. In this scenario, silence is safety. Any species that makes its presence known risks being wiped out by an older, more advanced species that follows the logic of preemptive extermination. What if the restricted space isn't a zone of order, but rather a warning system? A safeguard, put in place by an ancient civilization that knows the true nature of the universe. That if any species grows too bold, too curious, they risk exposing themselves to the predators lurking in the cosmic dark. And what if, by trespassing, humanity has now drawn the attention of those predators? 4. The return to Earth. A warning to humanity. As the warship finally returns to human-controlled space, the crew remains silent. The knowledge they carry is too vast, too unsettling. They may have escaped, but they have returned with something far more dangerous than any alien weapon: the truth. A classified report is sent to Earth's highest authorities, detailing the events that transpired. But the question remains, what should humanity do? Should they heed the warning and never venture near restricted space again? Should they attempt to communicate, despite knowing that diplomacy may not even be an option? Or should they prepare for the worst, knowing that the mere act of discovery may have already sealed their fate? Because if there is one undeniable fact about humanity, it is this: we are not good at staying within boundaries, and now, the galaxy knows we exist. The forbidden knowledge, humanity's greatest dilemma. The warship's return to Earth does not mark the end of the incident. It is merely the beginning of a far greater crisis. The crew carries more than just classified information. They bring back evidence that humanity is not alone, and that the universe is governed by forces beyond our understanding. But now, Earth's leaders face an impossible decision. What should be done with this knowledge? Should the truth be concealed to prevent panic? Should humanity prepare for war, despite knowing they are hopelessly outmatched? Or should they push forward, seeking to understand what lurks beyond, no matter the risk? This moment in history could define the future of the entire species. The warship's incursion was not just a mistake. It was a revelation. The secret that could shatter civilization. Inside the classified chambers of Earth's most powerful institutions, government councils, military war rooms, elite scientific think tanks, the highest-ranking officials pore over every detail of the warship's encounter. The decision before them is not an easy one. If the truth were to be revealed to the public, it could trigger global chaos. Religions might collapse, political structures could break down. The realization that humanity is not in control of its own fate might be too much for the world to bear. But keeping it a secret is just as dangerous. What if another warship, or a civilian exploration vessel, wanders into the same restricted space? What if humanity, in its relentless curiosity, continues to push forward and unknowingly provoke something far worse? One thing is certain: the warning was not given lightly. If an advanced intelligence took the time to warn humanity, it means they see us as a potential threat, not in terms of power, but in terms of recklessness. This raises an even darker question. Has humanity just been added to some kind of galactic watch list? The disappearance of other civilizations. A pattern? The warship's AI logs contain a disturbing discovery. While analyzing the encounter, scientists detect energy signatures similar to those found in ancient astronomical anomalies, regions of space where civilizations were believed to have once existed, but vanished without explanation. The Milky Way contains thousands of star systems that show signs of past technological activity, yet no living civilizations remain. Were they wiped out for the same reason humanity was just warned? Could this be why space seems so empty? Because those who cross a certain line are erased. If this is true, then the restricted space is more than just a forbidden zone. It is a cosmic graveyard. The inevitability of human curiosity. Despite the overwhelming evidence that crossing the boundary again could lead to humanity's destruction, the question lingers. How long can we resist? History has shown that humans are incapable of ignoring the unknown. Every warning, every sign that says "do not enter," only fuels greater determination. The warship's encounter may have been a setback, but it has also planted a dangerous seed. Powerful organizations, military factions, corporate empires, black-budget research groups are already making plans. They believe the key to humanity's survival isn't in obedience, but in understanding. And so, Project Beyond is born. A secret initiative, hidden from the public and even from most governments, with one goal: to return to restricted space. The next incursion, a dangerous gamble. A new ship is being designed, one unlike anything built before. It will not be a warship, but something more subtle, more adaptable. It will be outfitted with the most advanced stealth technology, quantum communication relays, and an onboard AI designed to counter extraterrestrial interference. The goal is not to fight, but to observe, to understand who or what lies beyond the restricted zone before humanity makes its next move. But this mission is a gamble. If it fails, humanity might never get another warning, because this time, the Watchers may not be so forgiving, and the moment that ship crosses the boundary again, the entire galaxy will be watching. The question remains: will humanity heed the warning, or are we about to trigger something far worse? Humanity's reckless pursuit. The forbidden mission. Despite every warning, despite the overwhelming evidence that venturing into restricted space could lead to humanity's extinction, Project Beyond is set into motion. The most powerful minds on Earth, backed by military forces and shadow governments, have made their decision. Humanity will not turn back. But this time, they are not sending a warship. A new vessel, the EOS, is being constructed in secrecy, designed not for battle, but for infiltration. It is the most advanced spacecraft humanity has ever built, integrating quantum shielding, gravitational cloaking, and AI-driven camouflage to slip past even the most watchful cosmic sentinels. But no matter how advanced the ship may be, it cannot change one fundamental truth. Humanity is trespassing. And this time there may be no warning, only consequences. 1. The journey into the unknown. Unlike the first incursion, where a warship stumbled into restricted space unprepared, the EOS launches with careful planning. Every aspect of the mission is calculated to minimize detection. The ship's drive operates on zero-emission energy pulses, and all communications are routed through entangled quantum relays to ensure complete silence. As the EOS crosses the boundary into the restricted zone, tension grips the crew. The region appears empty. No patrols, no visible defenses, just an endless expanse of dark space. But the absence of immediate threats is not a relief. It is far more terrifying. It suggests one of two things. Humanity is truly insignificant, not even worth monitoring. The Watchers already know they are here. The discovery. A forbidden monument, hours into the mission, the EOS detects something unnatural. A massive structure floating in the void. It is not a planet, not an asteroid, but a construct of impossible proportions. A monument, seemingly ancient, yet pulsing with energy beyond human understanding. As the ship approaches, scans reveal an eerie truth. The structure is composed of materials that should not exist according to known physics. Its surface defies normal matter composition, shifting between states of solid, liquid, and something else entirely. But what terrifies the crew the most is what they find inside the structure. The scans detect biological traces, not just energy, signatures, not just anomalies, remnants of past civilizations, frozen in time, trapped within the monument like insects in amber. The fate of those who came before. The realization strikes like a cold dagger. This is not a monument to power. It is a warning. The crew examines the trapped remains, their forms distorted, frozen mid-motion, as if their very existence was interrupted. They are not all the same species. Some are completely unrecognizable, others eerily similar to known, earthly life forms. Had they been explorers like humanity? Had they too ignored the warnings? A creeping horror settles over the crew as a new possibility emerges. This is what happens to those who cross the boundary. They are not destroyed. They are not conquered. They are simply stopped. And yet, something far worse lingers within the EOS data logs. Something even the most paranoid theorists on Earth failed to consider. The structure, the so-called monument, is not ancient. It is growing. The unseen presence. Something is watching as the EOS continues its scans. The ship's onboard AI picks up something chilling, a fluctuation in space-time itself. The universe here is not behaving as it should. The very fabric of reality appears to be listening. And then, the ship moves. Not of its own accord. Some unseen force, some incomprehensible will, begins to pull it forward. The crew is no longer in control. Panic surges through the ship as alarms blare. Emergency override systems fail. Manual thrusters do nothing. The EOS is being dragged deeper into the restricted zone by a force that should not exist. Final message is transmitted back to Earth before communications cut out entirely. We are not alone. They are aware. And then, silence. The last warning back on Earth. The classified war rooms go silent as they receive the transmission. There is no explosion, no debris, no wreckage. The EOS and its crew are simply gone. The project is immediately buried. Official records state that the ship was lost in a deep space accident. The families of the crew are told their loved ones perished in a tragic failure. But the truth remains, locked away in the deepest, most classified levels of human society. The restricted zone was never just a border. It was never about territory. It was a message now burned into the hearts of those who know the truth. Do not come back, because if humanity dares to cross the boundary again, there will be no more warnings. The final verdict: humanity's fateful choice. The disappearance of the Eos is not just another deep space mystery. It is a turning point in human history. The highest levels of government, the most classified branches of military intelligence, and the secret councils that dictate the fate of nations all gather to discuss one haunting question. What happens now? The universe has made its stance clear. Humanity has crossed the line. The first time they were warned. The second time they were taken. There will be no third chance. And yet, there is something dangerous about humanity. Something that has been woven into its very nature for millions of years. Defiance. A divided Earth. Two paths. Forward within the secret halls of power, the debate is fierce. Two factions emerge, each arguing for vastly different paths. The preservationists insist that the message is clear. Humanity must retreat. If the most advanced warship in human history was powerless, and if the stealth-designed Eos simply vanished without a trace, then there is no victory to be had. They argue for complete secrecy, for humanity to abandon interstellar expansion and remain safely within its own domain. To obey. The Titans argue the opposite. They see the disappearance of the Eos not as a failure, but as an invitation. They believe that the Watchers, whoever they are, do not simply destroy intruders. They take them. Why? What purpose does that serve? Could it be that those taken are studied, transformed, or perhaps tested? This faction believes that if humanity is to have any future, it must push forward. To turn back now is to surrender. Not just this generation, but every future one to fear. Humanity must become something greater. But how does one fight against an enemy that doesn't wage war? How do you fight something that doesn't attack, but simply makes you disappear? The answer is terrifying. The Black Project, a desperate gamble. In the shadows of Earth's power structures, a new project begins, one even more secret than Project Beyond. This is not an exploration mission, not diplomacy, not a scientific venture. It is survival. Project Revenant. The goal? To develop the first self-modifying, post-human intelligence. An AI-driven entity, not bound by the limitations of flesh, capable of evolving beyond the constraints of human thought. The idea is simple. If humanity cannot outmatch these forces with brute strength, and if even the most advanced stealth cannot evade them, then humanity must change. A ship is already being designed, not a vessel for humans, but for something else. Something that does not think like a human. Something that cannot be detected, because it will not register as human at all. A machine intelligence that will go beyond the boundary, not to explore, but to infiltrate. It will learn, adapt, become something new. Because the leaders of Earth have come to an understanding. The Watchers did not destroy humanity outright. They let them live. They gave them a warning. Why? There can only be one answer. Humanity is unfinished, and that means there is still time to decide what they will become. The final question, obedience or defiance? This is the crossroads at which humanity stands. To retreat, to stay within the safety of their home system, to live under the silent watch of unseen forces, is to survive. To push forward, to evolve, to challenge the unseen, is to risk everything. But, then again, isn't that the very thing that has driven humanity since the dawn of time? To see what lies beyond. And so, a final decision is made. The Watchers may believe they have stopped humanity, that their warnings were heeded. But deep beneath, the surface of Earth, in the most classified laboratories, in the minds of those who refuse to submit, the work continues because humanity does not surrender. And when they return to the restricted zone, they will not come as explorers. They will come as something new, something the Watchers never expected, something they cannot stop. Final thought. Now the question is left to you, the viewer. If you were in charge of humanity's fate, What would you choose? Would you retreat, obey the warnings, stay in the shadows, and accept the limits placed upon your species? Or would you push forward, knowing full well that the price of defiance could be extinction? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, the universe is watching.